The moment the nurse's voice cut through the tension in the hallway, everything shifted with brutal clarity, as though the argument between Ridge and Deacon had never truly mattered in the face of what was now unfolding behind those operating room doors. Their anger, so sharp and consuming just seconds before, dissolved instantly into something far more primal and far more terrifying. Fear did not need words. It settled into their bodies, into their silence, into the way both men instinctively turned toward the same place at the same time, drawn not by rivalry, but by the shared realization that Taylor was slipping further away. Inside the operating room, the atmosphere had transformed from controlled urgency into something far more precarious. The steady rhythm that had guided the surgeons through the initial stages of the procedure began to fracture, replaced by a sharper, more concentrated intensity. The monitors told a story the team could not ignore, fluctuations that spoke of instability, of a body struggling under the combined weight of trauma, and something deeper, something far more insidious than the accident itself. The tumor, once an unexpected discovery, had now become central to everything, its presence complicating every decision, every movement, every attempt to stabilize her condition. The lead surgeon adjusted his position, his focus narrowing as the situation evolved in real time. There was no space for hesitation, no room for second-guessing. Every action had to be deliberate, calculated, precise. Yet beneath that precision, there was an undeniable awareness that they were operating within limits that could not be fully controlled. The human body, even under the most expert care, could only withstand so much. Taylor's condition began to decline. Not dramatically at first, but enough for those trained to see the signs to recognize the shift immediately. Blood pressure dropped. Neurological responses weakened. The margins they had been working within began to narrow, forcing the team into decisions that carried greater risk with each passing second. Outside, the weight of that unseen struggle pressed against the walls, leaking into the hallway in the form of tension that no one could fully articulate, but everyone could feel. Steffi stood still, her hands clasped tightly in front of her, her entire body rigid with the effort of holding herself together. She had not yet recovered from the fracture in her own reality, from the disorientation of memory that refused to align with truth, and now she was being asked to face something even more devastating. The idea that her mother, the one constant she had always relied on, might not survive this moment felt unreal, impossible to process, yet impossible to deny. Finn remained close to her, his presence steady, grounding, even as his own mind raced through possibilities he could not control. He understood the medical reality in a way that made it harder, not easier. He knew what the signs meant, what the sudden shift in urgency could indicate, what the presence of a tumor in that location implied for her chances of recovery. And yet, standing there, he was not a doctor. He was a husband, a father, a man watching the woman he loved face a loss that could not be mitigated by knowledge or expertise. Hope stood beside Steffi, her own fear mirrored in her expression, though her connection to the moment was shaped by something more complex. She was not just witnessing a crisis. She was witnessing the unraveling of a family dynamic that had never fully settled, that had always existed in a fragile balance. And now that balance was breaking in a way that could not be repaired. Thomas leaned against the wall, his posture rigid, his jaw clenched tightly as he fought to contain the surge of emotion building inside him. His return to town had been driven by instinct, by the need to be present, but presence offered no control, no resolution, no way to alter what was happening. He watched the hallway, the doors, the people moving in and out, searching for something, anything that could provide clarity, but there was none, only waiting. And then the doors opened again. This time, the movement was more urgent, more abrupt. A nurse stepped out, her expression tighter than before, her words delivered quickly, without the careful framing that had accompanied the earlier update. "She's crashing." The words struck with a force that silenced everything else. Ridge took a step forward instinctively, his body reacting before his mind could process the meaning. Deacon moved at the same time, the two of them stopping just short of the threshold, held back not by hesitation, but by the invisible boundary that separated them from the space where the real battle was taking place. "She's losing stability," the nurse continued, her voice steady but edged with urgency. "They're doing everything they can. Everything they can." The phrase carried both reassurance and limitation, a reminder that effort did not always guarantee outcome. Ridge's hands clenched in a fist at his sides, the need to act, to do something, colliding with the reality that there was nothing he could do. The helplessness hit him harder than anything else, stripping away the control he had built his life around, leaving him exposed in a way he had never allowed himself to be before. Deacon felt it too, the same helplessness, the same loss of control. But where Ridge's response turned inward, tightening, hardening, Deacon's turned outward, restless, searching for something to hold on to, something to anchor himself in the chaos of the moment. Their eyes met again, not with anger this time, but with something else. Recognition, of shared fear, of shared loss, of the fact that whatever existed between them, whatever conflict had defined their relationship, was irrelevant in the face of what they were about to lose. Inside the operating room, the situation reached its most critical point. The surgeon's voice sharpened, commands issued more rapidly now, each instruction carrying a weight that could not be ignored. The team moved in perfect coordination, adjusting, responding, pushing against the limits of what was possible. For a moment, it seemed as though they might stabilize her. A slight improvement, a brief return to something resembling balance. And then, another drop, more severe this time. The monitors reacted immediately, the steady rhythm breaking into something erratic, something dangerous. The margin for recovery narrowed further, the window closing with alarming speed. The surgeon made a decision. There was no time left for caution. They would have to act aggressively, to remove as much of the tumor as possible, to relieve the pressure, to give her any chance at all. The risk was immense, but the alternative was worse. Outside, the tension reached a breaking point. Steffi stepped forward suddenly, her composure cracking as the weight of everything became too much to contain. Her voice broke as she spoke, calling out for her mother, as though the sound could reach through the walls, through the distance, through the uncertainty. Finn moved to her immediately, holding her as she struggled, grounding her in a moment that felt like it was slipping away. Hope reached for her as well, her own tears falling freely now, no longer held back by the need to remain composed. Thomas turned away, unable to watch, unable to stand still, his emotions spilling over into movement, pacing the length of the hallway, as though motion alone could relieve the pressure building inside him. Ridge and Deacon remained where they were, still, waiting. And for the first time, neither of them spoke, because there were no words left that could change what was happening. Inside, the final phase of the surgery unfolded with a precision that bordered on desperation, each movement calculated, each decision immediate, the team working against time itself. And then, a shift, subtle, but real. The monitors responded. The erratic rhythm steadied. Not completely, not fully, but enough. The tension in the room shifted, not into relief, but into something cautious, something measured. They were not out of danger, not even close. But the immediate collapse had been halted, the line between life and loss pulled back, if only slightly. The surgeon did not relax. He continued, focused, knowing that this was only the beginning of a much longer battle. Outside, the doors remained closed. The waiting continued. But something had changed. Not enough to bring comfort. Not enough to bring certainty. But enough to hold on to. And somewhere, beneath the layers of trauma, beneath the weight of everything her body had endured, Taylor remained suspended in that fragile space between losing everything and holding on to just enough. The outcome was still uncertain. The future still undefined. But the fight was not over. And that for now was everything.